Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrew. Today I'm going to be doing the Unpopular Opinions book tag. And I would have done this before, but I didn't read books until 2020. So I read them now. Now I read enough to have opinions. So here's mine. So I also don't think the original people that created this tag still make booktube videos, but if I can find the original, I will link it, all that good stuff. Also all the questions in the description as well. And I would love it if you would share, just literally copy paste, answer all the questions. Like give me all of your answers as well and just let me know. So the first question is a popular book or series that you didn't like. And I'm gonna go with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, because the more time I spend outside of that book, the more I just feel like it left me with so many unanswered questions, which I feel like is a thing with magical realism and that I just don't like. I don't like tons of unanswered questions. And I feel like magical realism, it's literally like I want to be in the real world or a completely made up world, and I want there to be, I don't think I like magical realism, even though you could argue The Night Circus isn't magical realism, it's historical fiction. I don't know. I just know I didn't like it. So that's the question. Next. The next question is a series that everyone seems to hate that you love. And for me, I'm gonna go with, even though she's really popular, hear me out. I'm gonna say Cassandra Clare. I know I've talked about her a million times on the channel, so I'm not gonna beat the horse is dead. Okay, the horse is dead, but I feel like there's an equal amount of hate that there is love for her. The first people that I found on BookTube all hated her. They said that it's too childish, too young adult, too angsty, and full of things they don't like vampires and werewolves, all this stuff that people don't like that I love. So I picked them up. I bought the whole box set from Mortal Instruments, and it has changed my life, changed my hobbies, literally. Did not read until I read City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. But I feel like there's so much hate for her. So I feel like that's it's like what you could say about Sarah J. Maas. There's an equal amount of hate and love for that woman. Equal. There's an equal amount of hate and equal amount of love. So you never know where you're gonna fall with that kind of thing. I haven't read Sarah J. Maas. I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses. That's it. So a love triangle that you didn't like, or the person didn't end up with who you wanted to end up with. So I'm not gonna say names or whatever, but I'm just gonna say the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I didn't like the Endgame couple. I would say, I mean, I have a whole entire video talking about that entire series. So if you are interested in my opinions on Shadow and Bone in general, feel free to go there. I don't know if I talk about the couple in there and my opinions on it, but I will say, to say things without spoiling things, I am very, very intrigued by the villain main character dynamics of Shadow and Bone. I'll say that. The villain and main character dynamics in Shadow and Bone are something that I am now actively seeking. I'm actively seeking out recommendations for series that have villain main character dynamics like Shadow and Bone, but I want it to be better. So yes, that's why I'm reading The Baron the Nightingale. That's why I want to read Furyborn. Other stuff too, I can't think of right now, but those are two examples I can think of at the moment. The next question is a genre that you rarely reach for. So for me, I'm going to say literary fiction, because the few of the books that I have read that fit that genre, I just find by the end of the book, I'm left with more questions than answers. And I feel like that's fine if that's what you want to read, but I just don't really like unanswered questions. I feel like the author isn't wrapping everything. I don't need every single thread wrapped up at the end of a story, but I need some things wrapped up in order to feel some sort of, you did this for what? I hate that feeling. My least favorite feeling is ending a book and being okay, and I just hate that feeling. And I feel like that is what is constantly the feeling from literary fiction that I've read. I just always leave it being but why? Why did we? And I feel like there's maybe some literary fiction that does that better I haven't read yet, where I want to have the discussions in the book as opposed to the book be a catalyst for conversation in the world outside. I want there to be, I want a balance, of course, but I don't want there to be, I don't know how to say this concisely, but I just don't like literary fiction from what I've read. If you have examples for me of ones that you've enjoyed, please feel free to leave those down below. I'll look into them and see, but I feel like as of right now, it's just a genre that I rarely want to read, hardly ever. The next question is a beloved character who you didn't like. So for this, I'm going to give two answers. And the first one is Murderbot, who is a socially awkward AI robot. And while I do sympathize with being socially awkward, 100%, I feel like people describe that book as being incredibly funny. And I feel like I have a good sense of humor, but I just didn't pick up on it as I read it. So I don't know. I just feel like it was not hitting the way it hits for other people. For me, people like are obsessed with Murderbot, and I just don't feel the same. I really, really wanted to though, because some of my favorite booktubers like love Murderbot, and I wanted to love Murderbot. I wanted to be right there with them, but I just, you know, I can't be fake. So there we go. My second answer is going to be the character, all the boys in the Raven cycle. It's not that I dislike them. I just only have read the first 2 books, so I don't really feel that much of a connection to the characters. Also, I feel like that book has so little plot that I feel like I should be more attached to the characters, because they're so, like, all the book is the characters just hanging out. And I think it was like maybe the audiobook for me, like maybe I just can't consume that story audio wise and enjoy it as much. I feel like people, I don't know, I feel like I've seen people say they love the audiobooks, and I've seen people say that you can't read the audiobook. I don't know, but I did read the first 2, and I kind of want to continue. I don't know where I'm at with them, but I just don't feel like I love them as much as some of the girlies do. Like, for sure, I just don't have the same level of love that many other people do, and if they do, that's great for them, love that for them, but they're just not that high in my feelings compared to like other series. The next question is a popular author who you can't seem to get into. I'm gonna say, I have a couple answers for this, like Maggie Stiefvater, but I've already kind of talked about her. And then Leigh Bardugo, but I've already kind of talked about her too. And then V.E. Schwab is like a hit or miss author for me, as she is for every other person I watch. I feel like she's very hit or miss for every single person I've ever watched on BookTube. Is like, there's things they like about her and things they don't like. But I'm gonna say the number 1 choice for me is Holly Black. I didn't even finish The Cruel Prince, like that most popular book that she's written. Even that one book, I didn't finish it. And like Leigh Bardugo, I at least have continued on her series, and I went on to read like Six of Crows, and like I want to reread Six of Crows because I feel like my head wasn't in the right space. Like, I want to get into Leigh Bardugo, so I'm still willing to give Leigh Bardugo more chances. I'm still willing to give V.E. Schwab more chances. Like, you know, I'm still willing to even give Maggie Stiefvater more chances. But Holly Black, just something about her writing felt empty to me. And I don't think I'm in the minority. I just feel like it's another equal situation where the amount of people who love it and the amount of people hate it is very polarizing, which, you know, I kind of like that. I feel like it's clear that if people are on 2 extremes of a spectrum, that means that what you're writing is really working for some people and really not. And I feel like if you're writing something that just works for everyone, then it's kind of empty. But to me, Holly Black's stories, just The Cruel Prince is all I read by her. I would maybe read something else by her, but nothing really sticks out to me. I did try to, I want to say the White Cat or something series that she has. I think I tried to listen to that, and I don't know if it was the narrator or the writing again. I also was like, I don't know about this right now. So I feel like she's probably like my number 1. Can't get into it because I didn't even finish the first book. I just, like I said, something about her writing, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what the word, I don't know how to say it. I just don't connect with it the way that lots of other people do. The next question is a trope that you're tired of seeing. And of course, there's several, like love triangles is like a really, probably like the most popular answer for this, but I don't mind a love triangle. I feel like I've read some that are pretty well done, and I feel like they can actually make a very engaging conflict if it's done well. So like, I'm not actually super against it. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that I want every book to have a love triangle. I'm just saying like it can be done well. Obviously this is true for any trope, but I feel like what I'm really tired of is actually in like mystery, when I feel like, or like kind of fantasy books, I don't have a word for the trope. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I feel like a lot of books, at the end of a book, there's always this like character telling you a reveal about something that happened in the past, and like sometimes they're like, oh, but I couldn't treat you this way because of this thing in my past, or I couldn't, you know, or people bullied me for this thing in my past, or I'm so tired of that. I'm tired of it being like something where it's like, oh, I couldn't tell you blah 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 because of this thing in my past, or I was treated differently because of this thing in my past. Like, I'm tired of, not that it exists, I'm tired of it being like a reason for why a character acts the way they do, and it being like but if you just told me that, it would have been fine kind of thing. Like, if it was like, okay, but knowing that now about you doesn't change the way I feel about you. Like, I guess kind of that sounds like a more romance thing. Maybe it's in romances I'm reading, I don't know. Like I couldn't tell you this because I worried you'd see me different or something like that. It's just like, why does that need to exist? I just feel like that, I don't know what the trope name of that is, but that. And also I'm gonna say heist novels. I just don't find them, I don't care. Publishing can keep pushing them all day long and readers can keep reading them all day long, that's fine. But I do not find a heist novel to be like, something about it to me is like predictable. It's just like, you know exactly what's going to happen in the plot, and I want to be a little bit more surprised plot-wise, I feel like, maybe. the two like major examples of this happening that I can think of are, well, I mean, I read Mistborn. I actually really like Mistborn. I don't really know if I would say it's exactly a heist, because a heist implies you're trying to steal an object, and they're not trying to steal an object. They're trying to defeat someone. And the Gilded Wolves had this, which I really wanted to like that book. And Six of Crows had this, of course. And the Gilded Wolves and Six of Crows, which are constantly compared to each other, and I feel like are definitely different enough to not be so consistently compared to each other. But I didn't love Six of Crows, and I DNF'd the Gilded Wolves. So is it because heist? I don't know. Do I want to read more heist? To me, I just feel like it's predictable. So yes, but I can tell you that in the TV show, The Magicians, there is I really liked the cinematography around, I can't remember what season it was or when, but there's like a heist that happens in one of the seasons of that show, and I loved it. I loved the way that happened. So maybe I just prefer it not in a book, because in a book, I want to like meet the characters and see their powers and like, I don't know. Maybe I just like, I don't know, but I just feel like, to me, it's not something that I'm like excited to read. Like, I don't like, it doesn't do for me what it does for so many other people. So that's heists. Well, I talked about that one for way too long. Okay, the next question is a popular series that you have no interest in reading. So if you watched my unhaul, you'll see probably several series that I don't want to read anymore. And also that whole video where I talked about like the 38 series at the time I was in the middle of. I have now picked up more series since that video, which was only like 2 weeks ago. But I talk about multiple series at length, ad nauseum in that video. But the number one series that I think is the most popular that I don't really want to read is Game of Thrones. I just don't want to read it, and I'm kind of unsure about adult fantasy. I just think it's not really hitting for me at the levels it hits for other people as of right now. Like, I love me some YA fantasy, some adult thrillers, like, but I just don't know about me and adult fantasy. Like, we're just not vibing at the moment. Could change in time, but right now, Game of Thrones is definitely not something I'm gonna pick up. I mean, it's not really recommended for beginners, so, but yeah, I don't want to read that. I just don't. And yeah, so finally, the saying always goes that the book is better than the movie, but what's an instance where you preferred the movie over the book? So I'm gonna go with the TV show for this one, and it's another one we've already discussed. She's a very popular author, but I'm gonna say the Shadow and Bone TV show was leaps and bounds above the books, in my opinion. At least the Shadow and Bone book. Obviously, I also enjoyed the show over Six of Crows, the book, but I am definitely in the minority on that one. I think just looking at the rating on Goodreads, you will see Six of Crows is probably one of the best rated YA fantasies like ever. So definitely an unpopular opinion on my behalf, but I would say that TV show was probably one of my favorite fantasy forms of media like ever. Like, I loved that show. I think that show did the character work, it did the world building, it did the villain, it did everything so well. I think the trailer was the trailer for that show is the whole reason I wanted to read all of Leigh Bardugo's stuff. And the trailer really, if you haven't watched the trailer, you should watch the trailer, obviously, because it really set the tone for what to expect, and I think it did it better than the books by a long shot. Long shot. So there we go. Like I said, feel free to copy and paste the questions in the description. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you've done the tag. Let me know. I would love to watch it. Yeah, I will leave my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter. It will all be in the description for you to check out if you'd like. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.